Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier this week, Dr. Hamid asked me to take part in this research symposium, and he gave instructions on my part in short. But what he didn't tell me is that the principal will also attend. So Professor Carolia is also there, and that always is not, as many of you will know, such a good thing, but let's give our best. So thank you for having us. While I was preparing for this symposium to make a short contribution, I've decided to, just for a moment, get back to the very basics. Because I very well know that as many of you are sitting there, you are looking at, and may I be the first one from this podium to congratulate you on this metamorphosis on the Journal of Management and Administration. But you are perhaps wondering, how do one get your own article? Where do they find these 7 articles? Where are they coming from? Now, what is the journey, the road? How must one think to get your work, your ideas, your dreams into this? So, for the very basics, I thought to share with you, or to try to paint a picture in your minds. And I'm going to deal with this in 2 ways. The one is where's the source, where's the information that one can start with, you know, the raw material. Where do we find that? And in the second place, to for a moment just dwell on the metamorphosis that must take place, because it's quite obvious that the material that one finds in this journal and where it started differs at large. Now, it's not the same stuff that you find here. This is reduced to 18 to 20 pages. And how do one get there? That's the second thing. For the first one, many years ago, I've asked a mentor of mine, Professor Potgieter. I just completed my master's degree, and I thought this was that, you know, it's enough. I've studied far enough, and I'm very clever now. So that's that. And then I realized that they still, you know, they speak about something else, another degree, a PhD. Only realized it then. So I asked him, what is this PhD on, you know, or about? Why should one carry on to study? Because as far as I'm concerned at that stage, I've also realized that after my B degree, which consisted out of 3 majors, I've continued with a honors degree with only one of those. And after that, I did a master's degree on only an aspect of one of those subjects. And now, you know, what do we do in a PhD then? So he explained and said, in this manner we learn more and more about less and less until we know all of nothing. That's only tongue in the cheek. That's not what he said. What he said is that the first time that we start to really answer questions on a complex creation that we live in is when we engage with PhDs. Fortunately, he didn't tell me that to publish articles is right after that. Otherwise, I perhaps won't consider it even. But that's what he told me, is that we are seeking answers. We are looking for answers to a complex society and problematic problems that we have every day, and find answers to them. That's why we do research, and that's why we publish. So to get to the first heading is where should one look? Because we are all pressed for publications, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not too sure why the principal also are attending. It's perhaps on this number of publications that is making remarks on. But the first place, of course, that one must consider is your own research. That comes from your own dissertation or your own PhD, and afterwards your own projects. That's a place to find data sets that one can transform, let's call it that word, into a publication. Another source is, of course, your own students. I've just learned with Tracy sharing that you have many dissertations and data sets available. Now, any of those are also, or many of those are there. One can transform them into a publication if you follow the correct steps. And the third source, of course, of data sets is commercialization. If one engages in consultation or you do some find some solutions for business, many of them will give you permission to use the data set and publish some academic work in journals. The second thing that's really, I think, my idea is to encourage you and to motivate you to engage on this path to get to the publication point. Is this transformation from any of these sources. So perhaps you sit there and you say, okay, fine, now there's a promising dissertation on my table. The student is doing very good work. The data set is about between 100 and 300 respondents. There's an article there, but it's very much hidden. You know, you just can't publish the whole dissertation of 32 to 60 to 80 pages. So where do you find the article part, the 20 pages? How should you think about that? And I thought an example that I also found very useful is, let's take the example of the United Nations, founded after World War II. With many, in the statutes, one will see that one of the reasons was to look at world conflicts, that it's never occurring again at that level, for example. Another one would be to eradicate hunger throughout the globe, and so on. And one can read it. It's a source. You can just take it from Google and you'll see it's there. And then, say for example, since then, let's take the question on hunger. Since the inception, there's many more people starving than in the previous 40 years around the globe, although production gone on. So it's clear that in this example, if you are taking the United Nations after World War II as, say, the dissertation, the article won't be about that topic. The article would be on, say, for example, hunger eradication. You see the focus, you take out a very small part, one of the objectives from that bigger study. In doing that, you start to focus on that specific one and reducing it to about 18 to 22 pages. Adding everything on only that. Starting with that process, you can look in the front, you have the new journal of Management and Administration. Just let's read with me there on page 4, because you need a vehicle for this. And I'm looking at journals as a vehicle. You know, it's how, where do you go now with these ideas? Before you start now on taking out the hunger eradication role of the United Nations as an article out of this broader dissertation, go and look at the journals, at the journal scope. And in this journal you'll find it from the editor-in-chief, Dr. Petrolia. He wrote there on page 4, Roman 4. At the bottom there, he called this the focus areas for this journal. One must read that. It says, in order to remain dynamic and responsive to the evolving education and training needs of developing economies, the editor-in-chief is tasked with identifying topical and critical areas within which research should be promoted. And for 2016-2018, if you consider this journal, you must be very aware that articles in the discipline of leadership and entrepreneurship are encouraged. So that's what the editor-in-chief's letter must also be studied. So whenever you start with this, consider the vehicle. This side up front, this is where I think this must get into the open, and focus on that, because many Dr. Hamid showed that, I believe it was him, who said many articles are rejected already on the desk of the editor. And one of the reasons is that, it's just not a business type article. It's not within our scope. So be very aware of that. But from my side, very, very congratulations indeed on the transformation on this journal. I saw it from 2006. And I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. And I believe it's one of the first, if not the first, accredited journal if you can get it right within 3 years with the Department of Higher Education. So congratulations indeed. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. When I was thinking about this meeting, I was wondering what should I come and say to you. And I had lots of ideas, and I said to Prof. Botha, I'm going to tell these people, that nasty reviewer is your friend. And there is some truth in it, because he shows you, but this is your personal hard work. You've done your best, and here he comes and he throws you into the lawnmower blades and you come out blooded. That's not nice, and that's something one needs to learn. One needs to learn to deal with that rejection, because it's not personal. It's not personal. However, as I continued, I thought I would like to come and talk to you about one thing which I never had. And I'll share a secret with you today. I was an agricultural economist, and after being in agriculture, I went into being academic. And the guy said to me, you must publish here. I said, oh, yes, I've got many publications. I've written a lot of publications in these agricultural magazines, what's the profitability of maize and all this stuff. And then I submitted my first journal article, a proper article. And if you look back today, and I couldn't actually believe I've done that, It had two sources. There's only two sources. The one was myself, and one other source. And I went back home and said, yeah, I've written a nice article. I'm actually expecting a phone call from the editor. Okay, so the point that I want to make is you try your best. But you must also have a look and say, what support do I have? And I'm telling you, if I had support in those days, I would have grown much quicker. So it was very difficult for me to progress from 2 sources to 4 sources to 8 sources. And after years of being mauled by the lawnmowers and being blooded, I eventually started getting success. But that was the hard way to learn. That's the tough way to learn. It's so much easier if somebody shows you. And really, this is what I want to tell you today. Many years ago, when I started out here at Mancosa, we were starting with Parish's predecessors. We talked about this day. I said to the guys, this is fruit we must get from Mancosa. And I'm so glad that he's picked it up and he's made it, the journal I always thought it will be. And very well done, really very well done. I know it's a difficult task. But I would like to encourage one and every one of you. I have never been at an institution where there is data, there is support, there is a research orientation. All you got to do is go and do it. Don't be me. Don't be me. Don't struggle with your 2-source article and get rejected all the time. Be clever. Use the resources that you have. Use the help that you have here at Mancosa. And coming from a number of years inside Mancosa, I've seen this research drive grow. And this is really fantastic, and I must tell you, if only I had it, but my time is gone. Now please take the opportunity, use this, and get yourself published. Back to where I originally started, with the reviewers. Of course, it's their job to be critical. But also remember, if you review a paper, don't only be critical, also give credit and say, this is a good point. This is a positive issue. Because if that editor, and I've met him later years, if that editor came and said, please don't send this rubbish again to me, I would have never published one article in my life. Not one. But he had an encouraging, positive rejection, which you don't always get, which encouraged me to improve. And that's my message to you today. I think this is a fantastic step forward. I'm very glad that I see this day, because I've been waiting for it for many years to come. And now it's here, and now you guys must use it. Thank you.